more energy they have. If we give you the proper nutrients, your body's able to produce what it needs. And here's a product from Balance of Nature that basically makes it so you get the nutrient equivalent of eating 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. The thing that amazes me with it is that it's so simple.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
New Yorkers who ignore social distancing orders could pay a price, as we hear from USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes.
New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio says people who break social distancing rules in that city can be ticketed and fined up to $500. The state has ordered non-essential businesses to close. It's banned gatherings of any size and ordered people to stay at least 6 feet away from others. The mayor is saying that fines will be a last resort, but he's authorized police officers to issue citations to people who don't comply. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
John Deere is suspending operations at one of its Iowa plants after an employee tested positive for coronavirus. John Deere management says the Dubuque Works facility will temporarily suspend operations today until further notice. And you're listening to USA Radio News.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
A well-known country music star has died from coronavirus. USA Radio Network's Wendy King takes a look back.
Yeah, there's something women like about a pickup man.
Joe Diffie, who had a string of hits in the 1990s, has died after testing positive for COVID-19. Diffie on Friday announced he had contracted the virus, becoming the first country star to go public with such a diagnosis. Diffie's publicist, Scott Atkins, said the singer died in Nashville, Tennessee, due to complications from the virus. He was a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was a member of the Grand Ole Opry for more than 25 years. He had hits like Honky Tonk Attitude, Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox, Bigger Than the Beatles, and If the Devil Danced in Empty Pockets.
Welcome to Earth, third rock from the sun.
He shared a Grammy Award for Best Country Collaboration for the song Same Old Train with Merle Haggard, Marty Stewart, and others. Joe Diffie is survived by his wife Tara and 7 children.
Rock from the sun.
He was 61.
A new date is set for the Tokyo Olympics that were postponed over the coronavirus. An International Olympic Committee spokesman says the Summer Games will now start July 23, 2021, with closing ceremonies scheduled for August 8th. For more news, check us out on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Stories we've told, stories we've told, 7 at a time. Stories we've told, stories we've told, 10 years of time.
Welcome to What's the Story? My name is Janice Hermson, and I hope that everybody is safe out there and trying to have some fun in some fashion. You know, some of the country is locked down, some of it's not. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on today. We've been not really locked down. We can still go to the grocery store. We can still do some things here. And if you're an essential business like ours, you can still go to work. Lucky us. And
Yeah, it gives you a space to work in,
It
and it's all
does.
quiet. It's like
It
working
is.
on the weekend.
It is. It is. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, we hope to bring you a little bit of entertainment and maybe a book that you'd like to read. We have
a lot of entertainment.
a lot of entertainment.
Okay.
All right. We have a book that we think that you would love to read, and that author has joined us today. James L. May is the author of The Body Outside the Kremlin. From Delphinium Books. He holds an MFA from Florida International University, along with a BA from Cornell. He grew up in New Jersey. Boy, all the hot spots. He's lived in Miami and New Orleans. Oh, my. And now resides in New York City. Uh-oh. So, James, welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes. And where are you right now? Which one of those many cities are you residing these days?
Well, right now I'm in New York, in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So yeah, we're pretty shut down here.
Yeah, I imagine you are. You're the major hotspot there, but
I'm looking for that picture in the house like all the news people, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's
exactly.
got the news shot from in their house the same way.
what I really find amusing is the hairdos now for the ladies that are not quite as poofy as they normally are, and their eyelashes sometimes look a little thick, like they put on their own false eyelashes, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm lucky that I'm calling into you by phone. I was due for a haircut even before we were shut inside. And
See there?
now it's gotten pretty bad.
Well, I know those hair people are non-essential,
I know.
supposedly.
I know. Very sad.
Right? I'm in need myself.
You can still go to the barber college.
Okay. I didn't know that. Are they essential?
I think I've been.
Well, James, I really want to talk about your book, The Body Outside the Kremlin. I have to admit, I tried to finish it, and I've not had the opportunity to finish it, but I have been listening. Very interesting story. And April, I think that you would really enjoy reading this. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the book, and then I want to talk a little more about you.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the book is a historical murder mystery, and it's set in Russia in the 1920s on a place called the Solovetsky Islands. So if you know about Russia in the 20s, you'll know that it had just been taken over by the Bolshevik Party, which would become the Russian Communist Party. And so they were just sort of getting their regime rolling in the 20s. And so Solovetsky was actually the first nationalized prison that they would create. It was the first in what would become a system called the Gulag, which many of your listeners will probably have heard of.
Right.
And what really is striking about Solovetsky, though, and one of the things that really interested me in the place was that it was, before it was ever a prison, it was the site of a really quite old and prosperous monastery, also called the Solovetsky Monastery. And it had been, that monastery had been there for, I'm trying to think, probably about 500 years at the time it was turned into a prison. And, the Bolsheviks, being quite anti-religious, immediately expropriated a bunch of church property, and among that property was this monastery. And so it was very remote. It's in the far northwest, in the White Sea, far northwest of Russia. So it was a good place for a prison, but not what you could call a good prison. A very deadly place, a place where a lot of suffering happened. But in these sort of strangely holy, or at least holy at one time, circumstances. So that was one of the things that most interested me about, setting a mystery there.
Well, how much research did you have to do? Is this kind of your area of expertise? Is this something that you had some background in already?
Well, no. I have more expertise now than when I started. But I still can't call myself totally expert about it. No, I just came across Solovetsky in a book by Anne Applebaum called Gulag. It's a general history of the Gulag, and I just thought it was fascinating. And that did turn into, it was a pretty big research project. It took me, I think it's fair to say I did at least a couple of years of research on this.
I would imagine,
interspersed with writing it.
Yeah, because just the detail because I actually downloaded the book as an audiobook because it's just much easier for me to listen that way than to have to sit and read, if you know what I mean. And I love audiobooks. So. I just appreciated the amount of detail and background, and it just seemed like you really, I got a real picture. I guess that's what I would say.
So I'm a Perry Mason watcher, right, reader, right? I know the court system here, right? So in those kind of mysteries, murder mysteries, right, they're all part of it. I'm ignorant in Russia in the 20s. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And I think that we're going to ask you to talk a little bit about that after the break. That's okay. It's a good question, though. It's a really good question. But we are going to have to cut away to a break here, and I don't want to have to cut you off. So your book is available at all the traditional places, I presume?
Yep, certainly. It's available at your local bookstore or on Amazon. And as you mentioned, the audiobook, which is available on audio and is from Blackstone Publishing.
Yes, and Audible is such a great resource for that. I just love audiobooks. So anyhow, we're going to be back with James L. May, my co-hosts, including April on Zoom. And I don't know, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, hang in there. We're going to bring you some more of James L. May and the Body Outside the Kremlin. Thanks, James. That was great.
Great. And good question about the courts. I look forward to answering that.
Yeah. Well, your book interests me now. Right, I'm the dummy of the group, right?
Oh, come on.
So MySpace.
No, wait a minute. I like him being the dummy of the group.
See, no, these guys are all authors and stuff, right? So I'm the guy who just pokes holes in their seriousness and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of my space, and to think like a regular person, right? They're all authors, so you guys are all,
He's the banker in the group, so we
got it.
We try and have him bring some reason to us. Is that right?
I don't know if that's why you brought me. You may not have done your homework, right?
Oh, I did my homework. But April, the reason that I thought that you would enjoy this is because as I was listening, it just so much reminded me of your book, and because it's in a prison camp the way it starts, and so it had some of the same tones. April is the author of The Altered Eye, and her father-in-law is a Holocaust survivor, and so she wrote his story.
I'm not an expert.
Yeah, I'm sure there are parallels.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm not an expert on the subject, but I became a lot more knowledgeable after the research.
Yeah.
I spent a couple years doing it too.
At least,
I had my subject was alive and well and could speak to me and tell me his story. So in some ways it wasn't as hard as the research you had to compile. But I did do
that's
fact checking.
Serious research, though, is interviewing people, even if someone you know well, that can make it harder.
In a way, you got to get it. You got to make sure you're representing them correctly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Jan knows I love history. I love historical fiction that is based in World War II. And anything like that, and especially the subject with the Gulag. What, Doug?
She's gonna have to turn a lot.
Okay, I'm not doing Cousin It hair.
I know you got it back out of your hair. I'm actually opening up the view for everyone to see you.
I got the.
We're doing social distancing, and you're at least 6 feet away from me.
We can see you.
Third time's the charm. Got my Zoom figured out.
All you have to do is like 2 clicks, right?
No, but there's camera angle and lighting and that sort of thing. And
Gotcha.
Stand by. Here we go.
I'm my own makeup and hair person here.
Look how big she looks in that, though.
I'm big?
Yeah. That's not fair.
I'm big.
Your head is bigger than ours.
But your voice is the same.
Welcome back. You're listening to What's the Story, and we are pleased to have James L. May on the phone with us today. He is in New York, so we are hoping he's staying safe. I guess you're kind of locked up there, James, right?
Oh, yeah, I am. Very, very much been living in the apartment between 4 walls.
Now, as far as groceries and such, you guys can go out for that?
Well, yeah, we're allowed still. The grocery stores are still open. We're trying to minimize our grocery shopping, of course. So,
Yeah, I would too.
We've been going to the store at most once a week.
Yeah, they have washing stations and all that out there because we have washing stations
Yeah,
outside.
they have that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, no one in New York that I know of is really hurting for food availability or anything like that.
Well, that's good.
It's certainly being taken very seriously.
Yeah, it's hard. When we first started out in this, we were kind of poo-pooing it, I have to admit, because it just didn't seem like, they were all comparing it to the flu, etc. And, it's just a hard thing to wrap your head around that we really have to do this. But it seems like we really have to do this. So here we are.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yep. So let's get back to Ed's question. And Ed, do you remember what you asked? Do you want to repeat?
Yeah, well, I was looking for the Russian Hamilton burger.
Well, that's a good question. So the sort of the legal system, in some ways, it wasn't at that time what we would recognize as really being a legal system. In the 20s, I think at least most of the people who were imprisoned on Solovetsky would have been brought to trial before a tribunal of secret police magistrates. And so that's a trial without the benefit of a defense attorney, or I can't recall if the magistrates themselves prosecuted, but it wasn't a particularly friendly process to the defendant, say. And in fact, most, although not quite all, of the people imprisoned on Solovetsky, you would have basically called political prisoners. So my protagonist, Tolya, and I should also say, what it means to be a political prisoner, that doesn't necessarily mean you had that much invested in politics. So my protagonist, Tolya, is a young man, a student, a mathematician, and all he's guilty of is having been involved in an unsanctioned student group, and he's accepted the loan of a banned book. But in fact, student groups were infiltrated, and that was the kind of thing that could get you sent off for Tolya, it's for 3 years. Others were sent for 5 or 10 years.
Wow. What a not good place to be, right?
Just
not at that time.
Yeah. Well, actually, my grandparents were born in Russia, and I was told that we had a cousin, or my mom had a cousin that had stayed back. My grandparents obviously came to America, but that stayed in Russia and was a mayor of one of the cities and ended up doing something and ending up in Siberia. So,
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Strange type
The light stayed red too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really. Well, that's, there were, for being a mayor, it depends on the period, of course, but
right.
In the 30s, there were all these purges of the party. In some ways, having a position of power like that put you more in the crosshairs than others.
Yeah, it could very well have been. My grandfather came over in the late 1800s, like 1888 or thereabouts. So very possible that it was later on because he had stayed. So just an interesting history, and of course that attracted me to your book as well. So for the reader who may not be familiar with the time period, would you say that they would have any problem getting through the book, being able to relate to characters, story, background, any of that?
Well, I certainly hope not. This is, it's making it accessible, making the history accessible was something I spent quite a lot of time and effort on in writing the book. And in fact, one of the things that's really one of the reasons it's a mystery. I really like mystery novels for the way that you have a character who gets to go around and really explore a place and ask questions about everything. So I thought, I was so interested in this place, and I thought, gosh, I'd really love to have a character who could go and poke his nose into every corner and really figure out how things work. So in some ways, I hope that, in the course of solving the mystery, my character also sort of gives a primer on the setting and the time period too.
April, I want to give you an opportunity. If you'd like to ask any questions, just jump in, because I know.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm enjoying listening to what. So you said earlier that you read about the Gulag. Is that what inspired you to write this story? You just had so many questions?
Well, yeah, effectively it was. So this Solovetsky really was the first. It wasn't actually called the Gulag when Solovetsky was operating, but it was the first camp in the administration that would become the Gulag. In fact, in the Gulag Memorial in Moscow, it's actually a piece of stone from Solovetsky that memorializes the victims of the Gulag. So that its place at the start of the camps made it interesting to me, and also just this the monastic community that had lived there. That seemed really interesting to me too. And in some ways, there's a funny kind of it's strange to say, but monks and prisoners live sort of strangely similar lives. The monks have their cells, they get up and go to bed according to a timetable, their food is regulated. Of course, the monks didn't suffer in any of the ways anything like the ways the prisoners did. But there's a funny kind of rhyme there between those things that I thought was pretty fascinating.
Somebody on the news today compared what's happening to everybody to being imprisoned in a sense, and that we all have to know when our sentence ends. So I thought that was rather interesting.
That is.
Because personally, of course, I'm working every day, so I don't feel like I'm in prison, but I wonder if anybody else might feel that way at times, that they kind of want to know, okay, when's this going to be over, right? So so you have a good background on what happens when they're all in prison, right?
Yeah. So although of course I should mention, if you're picturing the prisoners being totally isolated and locked up in cells, it was a prison camp, but also a work camp.
Right.
So the prisoners were sent out every day to the main industry was felling timber, which is a hard and dangerous job, especially if you don't really know how to do it. So that's one of the things my protagonist is dealing with, is doing really hard labor. I mean, it could kill you.
Right, of course.
What happened to the monks? Did they start another? They built next
question.
door. What happened?
Well, as a matter of fact, some of them were sent away and then sort of scattered to the winds. It's hard to track them all after that. But some were actually allowed to stay at the camp. They were sort of prisoners, but they had a number of privileges that other prisoners didn't get to get, such as they were allowed to continue holding church services. And the reason that was allowed is because the monks, they'd been living there and supporting themselves on the island for years and years, and they were very good fishermen. And the fishing, I want to say fishing grounds, but that can't be the right word. The fishing is very good around the island. And the monks were the ones who really knew how to do it. So the authorities allowed them to stay and keep some privileges in exchange for being expert fishermen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah, really interesting. I think you've got a couple more readers going on here.
Yeah. You know what amazes me during this whole process is that, you spend a couple of years researching this, and I'm sure you spent well over a year writing it. I would imagine your challenge was paring down all that information that you knew into a concise story. It just seems like that would be very difficult.
Well, yeah, that is a challenge, certainly. I think, that's another thing that the mystery form sort of helps with to some degree, because, a mystery, more so than some genres, has, there's the crime and there's the investigation, and finally the truth comes out. So you can sort of, plan things that way. and I certainly do. I have to figure out the crime first, and then I figure out how it's going to be solved, and so forth. So that was a piece of it. Yeah, but I've been talking a lot about the context, and maybe not so much about the characters or the story itself. I think like with any writer, you do find yourself getting, invested in the characters and sort of being excited by them and caring what happens to them. So that was certainly something that helps me turn all these dry facts into a story.
So is there another book on the horizon?
Well, I hope so, but not anything I am quite ready to talk about yet.
Okay.
And
darn, we can't break it here, huh?
I was going to say, is it kind of Columbo? Do you know who it is early, and then they just show you the detail?
Don't you love his comparisons?
Yeah, and you show me the detail, or is it a total whodunit to the end?
Oh, well, it's really a whodunit. Yeah. Well, so I will. I don't want to give too much away, but I'll tell you the setup. My protagonist Tolia is I said he's in a hard labor company. He's not used to the work, and it's very hard work, even if you are used to it. So he's been trying to cultivate friends in the camp among other prisoners who might be able to help him get a better assignment. And one of those friends, he thinks he's doing well. He has kind of got a friendship with the guy, and he shows up. The guy shows up dead, unfortunately, one morning, floating in the bay outside of this monastery.
And we're going to have to. We're going to have to. Yeah, we're going to have to cut you off there and leave the man floating in the bay.
Ooh, I bet you got like 20 purchases right then.
That's right.
People just snap.
Good.
If you can't get it on Amazon, if they're slow at getting it to you, you can always get it on Kindle. And is there a website for you, James, or are those the best places?
Well, those are the best places to get the book. But if you'd like to read a little bit more about me, you can look at my website, jameslmay.com, or my publisher maintains an authored webpage, and that's delphiniumbooks.com.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, James. I'd love to have you on again. This is What's the Story. We'll be right back. Sorry, we had to go to break.
Oh, no, that's fine, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, really nice, sir. I'm definitely going to pick it up.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yep, and I'll finish
well,
it.
Thank you all so much.
Hopefully, I'll get you a review out there.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's great. I'd appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, James. Talk to you again.
Right. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye now.
I owe Doug a review.
You what?
I owe Doug a review.
Oh man,
look
I
at
was
that.
looking at bathtubs.
Why don't you wait until we republish to do your review? That way it won't go away, because it's going to go away when we republish and make it anew.
I'm looking at soaking bathtubs, and if they don't have 4.5 out of 5 stars, I'm not even considering. Right? You guys got me doing the whole
What's
survey
the review?
thing, right? If I don't have a review, I'm not doing it.
Well, he has, let me see, he has 4.5 stars. One of the things that I saw in some of the reviews is that they thought it was a little slow at different parts. But to me, when you're reading a book, you just skip those parts. If it's too slow for you, I mean, I read, David Baldacci does that a lot.
Yeah.
And
he goes down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, skip, and I move on.
I can't do that. I feel as if I'm gypping myself.
No, not me. If he's going to get into all that detail about where he is and the color of the flowers and all the rest, forget it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I have my own picture.
Yeah.
That's John Le Carré, I think.
Is it? Yeah. I don't read him, but I probably
I don't really
wouldn't.
either. Paul
It's
is
after
reading it,
2
and
or
he said
3
he goes on for
cocktails what they see.
He goes on for 10 pages on the color blue or something.
Yeah, I know. I just don't. I have no time for that.
That's literary. That's more literary.
It is, and I appreciate it, but
and it's beautiful.
You know.
But I'm in a rush.
Me
so
too.
I
cut
need
to the
get
chase.
To the point.
Cut to the chase. Get to where we're going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't care about all of that. Like I say, I create my own pictures. I create my own scene.
Well, I think that's what a good author does, though. Yeah.
So
he lets you get lost in what you're trying to describe.
Yes.
You guys that try, right? I don't even try. Right?
You try.
Well, no, I mean, you guys have written books. You've gone through that struggle. I just pick at them, right? I haven't gone through that exercise. I haven't seen the value in it for me yet, or maybe never. I don't know. I don't know if I know anything worth sharing. Stories, though, I might have a good one or two.
Oh, well, there you go.
We have the Book Hound Blitz song, so
We have a little bit, I know.
a little bit of time.
Yeah. We're kind of quiet today.
Hey, I don't blame you.
It's an odd day. It's an odd month.
The energy's been just different. I've been in, like, flying all by myself.
What does that mean?
Was that good timing? I could lip sync.
Yeah.
Well, no one really hears us when they're looking on TV
know.
or on the.
Yeah.
So we really look goofy.
So look, we're all upbeat. Yay, yay! Look what we're
10
doing.
seconds.
Yay.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, yeah,
I know. No, you just if you don't do that last part, no one knows the difference.
Yeah.
3,
Right.
2.
People know what they tell.
Welcome
what you tell
back.
Sorry, folks.
It's okay. Welcome back. That's Ed. Ed's welcoming us back.
Yes,
I can say
indeed.
that. Yeah. Here we all are, and
Yes.
it's time for the book blitz, and we're going to make it a real blitz because we want to get right to topics of what's going on out there, what's going on with you. Maybe you'd like to share. Look, even April did a little thing there.
What? April's
Yeah,
dancing?
April did a little bit.
Dancing in sight.
So there we go. So it's time for the book blitz. That is when we make recommendations to you about books that we think you might want to read because we've either read them or we want to read them. So you want to start out with us?
Oh,
Doug?
hey, I'd
Do you
love
have
to.
something?
I'd
Yeah.
love to. You know, one of the things that we try to do is, hey, let's make it light and airy. What could be better in a time like this, what we're going through? Everybody locked in their wherever
Perspective
they're locked
locations.
into. This is real great. It's a book. It's by it's by the Reader's Digest, and it's called "Laughter is the Best Medicine."
Oh, I like that.
What could be better?
That's
A laugh out loud collection of our funniest jokes, quotes, and stories and cartoons.
Oh, great.
God, that's pretty succinct, huh?
Yeah.
It says, Laughter is the Best Medicine is a collection of the Reader's Digest's funniest quotes and whatever, and laugh out loud captions. A little chuckle, a little chuckle will keep the doctor away. Editors of Mind Reader's Digest archives to bring readers laughter as the best medicine of all time. So I thought,
Excellent.
yeah, it really is.
Good job.
And
Good job.
It's right to the point. And
Oh, stop.
yeah,
No, I'm liking it. I'm going to say, I mean, when you have latrines and humor in the same thing, you can't get any better than that.
That's right. It goes along with all the toilet paper
That's
jokes,
right. That's totally.
One of the things that I don't like presently is that I'm sure all of us get these cartoons that are sent to us, and they're funny, but they're all politically oriented. And I
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
these would be. They're just
Not at that time, no. They're older, so they're
exactly.
yeah,
They're just funny
not quite.
for funny.
Or if they are, they're really light.
Yes.
Politics.
Yes, yeah,
They're
I don't-
not that.
But it's
really
an election
jabbing.
year, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
people still competing.
I know.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, man, it's a crazy place.
It
You know,
is.
it really is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It depends on what you listen to also. I kind of have varied my vision as far as what I'm listening to because of that. Because I just don't need it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. I'm definitely interested, but I think we have more important things to think about right now.
People are kind of
Yeah.
tuning out, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
So for
Can
me,
we do the next book and then we'll
Sure.
go?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go
All right.
for it.
Because I want to talk and I don't want to. We get caught up.
We totally do.
All right, April, you're up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my pick is this book right here, Havisham. It's by Ronald Frame. And for anyone who knows Havisham, it's the famous Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. It's from Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. And Paul and I were watching this series called Dickensian, and Miss Havisham's story is one of the stories in there. And it reminded me that I have this book, and I think I have to read it. It's about how Miss Havisham became Miss Havisham. She's a very strange character. By the time we see her in Great Expectations, she's an older woman. She's roaming the halls of her mansion in the tatters of her wedding dress. A wedding, all the clocks are stopped at the time she was to be married, and it's just a haunting character. She's just incredible. But this is the story of her before that event happened. So it's before she became the immortal and haunting Miss Havisham of Great Expectations. She was Catherine, a young woman with all of her dreams ahead of her. She was the daughter of a brewer, but she is sent by her father to stay with some family friends, the Chadwicks. And there she discovers elegant pastimes, and she is having a good time. And she's very young, and yet she's vulnerable to the attentions of a stranger. And so this is what made the author Ronald Frame unfurls the psychological trauma that made young Catherine into Miss Havisham and cursed her to a life alone. So I thought that was a good story, Havisham, and I'm in the mood for that. So,
well, there you go. If you are, I'm sure there's someone else who is as well.
Wowza.
Wowza. You have anything today?
No, I didn't bring any books.
Okay, no worries. So we're just gonna kind of chat a little bit here, because we know, as we've talked about already, the most obvious thing out there is that what we're all going through right now, and normally we try and mix it up, make other things happen, but we kind of wanted to know. Hopefully there's some folks out there that have joined us that maybe are from different areas that can, we're going to have Doug talk a little bit. April, you're going to do something on some positive stuff in the next segment, right?
Yeah.
And then I know you had something you wanted to talk about. So we're just going to kind of mix this up a little bit. If you're listening to us right now, if you're on Facebook, or if you'd like to call in, you can call in at 844-790-8255. You want to text us, you can text to 775-237-2266. Let us know what's going on with you. Let us know where you are. What are you doing? If you're cooped up, if you're not cooped up. Are you locked up? Are you not locked up? For instance, I know...
Should you be locked up?
That's right. Should you be locked up? Yeah. Maybe sometimes I should. I know that North Carolina, I got a call from Basil. I do the show with Basil on Tuesdays. I got a call from Basil this morning. He says, what's your governor doing? Because his governor apparently said at 5 o'clock today, he's in North Carolina, 5 o'clock today, they're shutting them down. Well, I said, Basil, we've been shut down for 2 weeks, right? So it's different
But
in
the
different
press
places.
is a non-shuttable downer.
Well, yeah.
Whoa, there's something. Wouldn't that be great?
What?
Let's shut down the press.
So
wouldn't that be
come on,
nice?
you're going back to Mr. May's gulag?
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right? I mean, come on,
Exactly.
right? So free press is an integral part
It is,
of...
and I really think it is. I
You
mean,
know, wouldn't it
even
be-
if they're bad press, they
It
deserve
is.
to be on.
It still deserves to be
Yes, I agree with
The
you.
press? Yeah.
Yeah.
But perhaps they should go back to
Reporting.
reporting instead of journalizing.
See?
So I was talking with someone the other day how personal they've gotten now that they're in the rooms, right? So like they all have their children, or right, you could have a serious business thing going on and someone's doing their homework, right? There's a personalization now that is right. It's not just the facts.
It's never been the facts with the media.
Well, so come on, right? If you say back when we started watching TV, it was just the facts. It was biased then. It was just biased less
No, they
blatantly.
weren't. No, they weren't as in your face with the bias, but it was always biased.
Well, it always was, but I think that as listeners, it's important for us to be sure that we take it and observe and check what facts they're delivering to us. We shouldn't just think that Walter Cronkite is always right. Right?
Yeah. Whoa. Boy.
I know. Have a heart attack.
And that's the way it was. Walter Cronkite was a crook. Boy, you talk
careful
about,
what you say, fella.
Oh man,
you're gonna have to own that. Write your letters to Doug
there has been
Ashby.
many books written about his bias that didn't come out until
Regardless,
latter years.
when I was a child and I saw any of that, first of all, I probably didn't even listen, and secondly, it was just another newscaster to me.
So I used to watch newscasters and try to guess their politics, right? So you just watch them, ask their questions and things,
Right.
and
I like the ones that you don't know.
Well, right. I'm going to say right until like 2000, that was virtually all of them.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. And then you get into now, I don't care who it is you watch, you know where they are.
Yeah.
They don't try to hide it. Most
I guess
are
most,
blatant.
I would agree.
The style of questions they ask, the badgering of whatever questionee they're asking, right? It's ridiculous. To me, it's just blatantly obvious.
There
what
used
they're
to be a
looking
guy
for.
in L.A. on the radio, 790 AM. His name was Michael Jackson. And for years, he just did an absolute superb job of never letting you know where he stood on a subject. I mean, he was that good.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
it really
Yeah.
was. So he was entertaining and informative to listen to. But then you could tell after a while he was losing audience. And so his handlers said, hey, you're going to have to come out and take a stand. And he was a very liberal man. And then he divided his audience.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But that's what happens, right? So that human bias creates interest in more viewers, right? That's what the press on TV is about. More viewers, not factual discussion.
Yeah.
More viewers.
It doesn't.
All right. Well, we are going to be taking a break here pretty quick on that note. More viewers. We want more viewers.
Yeah.
We have
or
more
listeners
viewers.
or whatever. And April is going to do her Reno Gal Says and going to give us some tips if you're kind of confined a little bit, wanting to get out. She's got some good ideas how you can stay safe and do that as well. So we will be right back. You're listening to What's the Story?
I don't believe it.
Boy, where did April go? We didn't hear her at all.
She got
She
small.
doesn't do politics.
You got smaller.
Yeah.
I'm small?
Oh, no, it's just because somebody's print popped up right beside you that's big.
Oh, okay. I think, I'm sitting on a pillow now.
That's funny.
No, it was the relationship of the camera and your head.
April, by the time we figure out how for you to sit in whatever room you decide to be in, you'll be coming back in.
I know.
Maybe.
I know. I would love to come back in. It's so much easier.
I know. Hey, Mike, thanks a lot for that Mike Epps liked What's the Story? What a good guy.
Yay,
He's
yay.
got A to Zen in Carson City,
Yeah,
and
I
A
met
to
him.
Zen is doing a lot of virtual stuff. They're doing virtual open mics.
They
and
post sayings and all those things. I see the sayings.
Yeah, he's been remaking his business for a while, doing an excellent job, I think, and he's carried some of our books for us there, and
Awesome.
so yeah.
I was going to say I see the names of many
Yep.
folks I respect listening, so I better shut up.
Yeah, Jim Crocius, one of our authors down the way there, he joined in a little bit ago. So,
Look, is that an eye chart behind you, April?
does it say LRP books?
You actually, all my grocery bags are in the scene here. I should move them. But
No, up to your left, over your left shoulder's a
There's
picture
something.
of
It looks like maybe a calendar.
or a song.
I know. Wait, I can't get my hand.
Oh.
There. That. It's not an eye chart. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's the aromas of wine.
Same thing as an eye chart.
Different flavors and tastes and scents that you would get from wine, and it has little symbols. So you could get toast or smoke or strawberries or licorice or whatever. It's a bunch of different things.
Well,
Awesome.
is this in your kitchen?
No, this is my dining room. So I'm taking you guys on a little tour of my house. Like, how many different rooms can I do this from?
Yeah, because didn't you have a bookcase behind you last time?
No, I had pictures behind me.
Oh, okay.
Don't you think an interesting perspective? And when Doug was talking about that bathroom book, I thought of everybody locked in their bathrooms, right? Not in their houses, but in their bathrooms.
I have to remember not to take Zoom into the bathroom with me.
So no, as a kid,
With the video
I
on.
knew that if you were locked up in any room, it had to be the bathroom, right? It has everything but food, right? You could last forever there. You could last for months in there.
Now, this does beg the question, who goes down that road, right?
Not me.
Here we go. Survivalists.
I want to be locked in my kitchen.
Yeah, that will certainly be one of my choices. I think Ed's would be down on that.
Yeah, call me in a month on that one. Call me in a month.
Pay any attention to breaks. They don't pay any attention to, hey, we're coming back. Nah, who cares? We just keep talking.
We're already back.
That's right. So forgive us if you don't hear my intro. It's okay. Either Ed or Doug wants to jump right in and just keep on talking, and that's just fine. We talk through the breaks if you're listening on the radio. We are live on Facebook on our first hour through the breaks. So we chit chat, and if you're listening or watching, you are able to hear our nonsense throughout. So.
You know, I didn't even hear of the comeuppance to you coming back on.
Oh, that's because you were talking.
So now you know how I can blot out like ads in a newspaper?
Yeah.
You're blocking out the Hollywood wrap-up.
Yeah.
And everything else, right?
Yeah.
What can I tell you? So, April, do you have your sound on by chance?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm hearing something in the background as well, so I thought maybe you might have the sound on. Anyway.
I don't know how I can do it without yelling, so let me see.
No,
here.
you're fine. You're fine. Let's just have you do your Reno Gal says. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
You got something going with what we're gonna do while we're all kind of at odds, I guess I would say.
Well, I was just thinking. I've talked a lot about different things, and I want to be more positive and just let's move forward and be proactive with our time, what we're doing here. And so I was flipping around on the news, and they had a segment about the unknown Reno, and I thought, oh, that is so great. That's right up my alley. And they was talking about how Reno has a Chinatown, and then I thought, well, you know, there's other areas of Reno that are very interesting too, because I used to do a walking tour of our historic district. And so if you are someone who is at home and you want to learn something, maybe your city has a historic preservation website, and you can learn more history of your own town. And then Paul suggested, well, maybe if you are in Reno, you could drive around to some of these places, do your own little tour of your own city.
I think that's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah, but if you don't want to get out and drive, a lot of people are homebound, but I know a lot of people that are taking long drives places. But then I started thinking about museums and how they often have virtual tours. So I have a list of 12 museums around the world, and you can see their artifacts, and you don't even have to get on a plane.
Wow.
One of them is the British Museum in London. So you can take a tour of the Great Court. You can discover the ancient Rosetta Stone and Egyptian mummies. There's also hundreds of artifacts in this museum. The other is the Guggenheim Museum in New York. Now, I'm pretty sure all these places are closed right now, but with virtual tours, you could do it from home at any time. They have the Guggenheim.
And we have between 15 and 30 days to fill here, so
Well, right.
you can go a lot of places.
You can do the museums in the top cities of the world.
Yeah, there you go. Take your time. Go slowly.
The National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. They have 2 online exhibits through Google. The first is an exhibit of American fashion from 1740 to 1895. And I love fashion from history. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful and interesting. And these 1740 to 1895 sounds like really fascinating years. My favorite museum is in Paris. It's the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. And you can virtually walk through this popular gallery. It houses dozens of famous works from French artists between 1848 and 1914. There's the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Seoul, in Korea. There's the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. Did you see that someone stole the Van Gogh painting?
I did not.
No.
In the news? Just, I guess they were having a big celebratory event for on Van Gogh's birthday, and someone stole a famous painting.
Wow. That's something out of a book, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Scooby-Doo.
The J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, which I've been to the J. Paul Getty, and then there's the Malibu one, is smaller, and it's based on his love of Rome, ancient Rome and Grecian history, and that is fantastic. And then my other favorite museum, this list seems longer than 12, huh? But I'm going to stop after this. But it's the Uffizi in Florence, in Italy. I love Florence. And this is one of the most fantastic museums you could go to in the world. And so you can do these virtual tours. You could go around the world and see amazing things. You can learn things if you have kids at home. It's a good lesson on art or history. Or
yeah, if you're looking for homeschooling topics, there you go.
Exactly. And so also your own city has history, and you can learn that too.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, it all sounds very good.
Well, you know, she didn't mention very close to us that is just absolutely filled with history, and that's Virginia City.
Right, but is there a virtual tour, though? This is what she was trying to push, is the virtual
You could drive there.
Yeah,
you could if you're local,
and virtual,
Yeah,
so,
you could.
That is fascinating.
It is. Excellent. Thanks so much. So get in your car or go online, and if you have kids that you need to have some topics for what's going on out there.
Pickup trucks are always a good idea. You can put them in back, right?
I'll send you the link. This is from Travel and Leisure magazine, and the headline is Stuck at Home. These 12 famous museums offer virtual tours you can take on your couch. So
I'm going to post a picture, probably not till next segment, but I'm going to post a picture. There were some moms that had the idea that they were going to tailgate it with their kids. So I was in the parking lot picking up a prescription at one of the pharmacies, drove through, and all of a sudden I see 4 SUVs back to back, social distance appropriately, right? With their tailgates up, all the kids in each one of the vehicles, the moms in each of the vehicles with the kids. Kids aren't outside; they're in the trucks, and they're just yelling at each other, talking. So I asked, because I thought, well, I don't want to assume that I know what they're doing, and so I rolled down my window. I said, "So is this your way of meeting up with your friends?" She said, "Yeah, we figured at least we got the kids get out of the house. They get to talk to each other."
Sure.
So yeah, I suggested it to my daughter. She thought it was a great idea. So
awesome.
That is good.
Yeah.
I like it. Paul wants to have people over with bring their lawn chairs, and we'll all sit 6 feet apart or more with our lawn chairs. And have
that would work. That would work.
Our social moment.
Sure, why not? I mean, I think we have to be creative in this time.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I have G.D. Fenderson, who is one of our political contributors at What's the Story. He has called in. He's in Maryland. And so let's say hi to G.D. Welcome. Hi, G.D.
Hey, hello.
Hi, welcome.
How's it going?
Great. I know you're out there in Maryland. Are you guys locked down?
As of today.
So you
As of today, we have, starting today at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m.
Okay, so you've been out there just able to do whatever up until now, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. It was voluntary house arrest until today.
House arrest.
So there's a voluntary house arrest till today. Now it's mandatory.
Yeah.
So are you guys going to be able? Is it like with us? We're locked down, but essential business can go to work. We can do like curbside things like that. Is that similar in Maryland?
Yes, and my understanding is that liquor stores can be open as well.
Oh, see, are the
And-
liquor stores open here?
Depends, I think, if they have grocery licenses or can,
Yeah, they
sell
can only
gas.
be open here if they have gas or groceries.
Right.
Yeah.
But there they
Well,
might
the
have
liquor stores
control
sell lottery
state.
tickets.
See, there they might have
they sell
control.
lottery tickets, so that's important, huh?
Yep, lottery tickets and alcohol.
Yes, they sell lottery tickets, and lottery tickets support a lot of state government functions. And so we have to be off the streets by 8, I believe.
Oh,
But that's also
wow.
the time when lottery
That's
tickets
a
start being
curfew.
sold.
Yeah,
But of
so
course, that's just me thinking outside the box.
Yeah, so you have a curfew. We don't have a curfew here, at least not yet. And Maryland has, according to worldometers.info, Maryland has about 1,239 cases, new cases that are included in that total, 247. And compared to Nevada, we have 920. And as of yesterday, 299 new cases. But today, I know those numbers are a little different because I've been watching this for a while. So you guys have a few more than us. I don't know what your population is in comparison to us. I have no clue.
It's got to be 3 million or something there.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any idea, GD?
That is the one thing I did not look at. I did not know our population.
Yeah, I'd be curious to compare that. And I really appreciate you calling in and telling us what's going on in Maryland because we kind of wanted to know that.
So you're welcome.
You know, they're not that far from D.C., so
That's
that
right.
is.
Yeah, that
that's
is.
kinda-
Well,
And-
their gov's been on the news shows.
And I want to give GD a little plug. April, he did a topic for you. I let the political writers kind of choose their topics. I figure we're all confined, so everybody gets the freedom of choice for their topic this month for April. And he did something on normalcy for you. So there you go.
Okay.
All right. All right. So
Thank you.
I hope everybody
Look
will
forward to
watch
reading
for What's the Story in April. GD has a couple of topics for us. And we have hopefully a new Democrat writer as well. So we have to take a break, GD. You're welcome to stay on, or if you're done, we'll say goodbye. But if you want to stay, it's cool, but we got a long break right now. So we'll be back in a moment, in 5 minutes.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media Radio, heard worldwide on the web at americamatters.us and on KCKQ 1180 AM, Reno.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
President Trump says lives will be saved by extending the administration's coronavirus social distancing guidelines until April 30th.
This is based on modeling that shows the peak in fatalities will not arrive for another 2 weeks. The same modeling also shows that by very vigorously following these guidelines, we could save more than 1 million American lives.
President Trump speaking at the coronavirus task force meeting at the White House. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar touts a number of testings in the United States.
We're now testing nearly 100,000 samples a day, also a level that no other country has reached.
North Carolina Republican Congressman Mark Meadows will start his new job as President Trump's chief of staff on Tuesday after leaving his congressional seat. And you're listening to USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
You hear the commercials and it sounds, pretty hokey to be perfectly honest, but I definitely have more energy. I don't get sleepy as early as I used to. I have fewer aches and pains. I haven't had any colds. It seems to be working, so we'll keep going with it.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code USA.
I've told you I get the best sleep of my life with my MyPillow, but I'm not the only one. Mark in Las Vegas told me the other day, we were talking on other business, he says he went to MyPillow.com, clicked on the radio listener special, and used the promo code USA. He got a great deal on a MyPillow, and he is enjoying his sleep now. You can too. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special, use my promo code USA, and I promise you, you'll get the best sleep of your life or you get your money back.
New dates have been set for the Tokyo Summer Olympic Games. Here's USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes.
Having been postponed because of the coronavirus, an International Olympic Committee spokesman now says what were supposed to be the 2020 Summer Games will begin on July 23, 2021. And the closing ceremony is set for August 8th. The IOC and Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had already agreed to postpone the Games for about a year because of the pandemic. It's the first postponement of the Games since the modern Olympics began in the 19th century. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
Two major health insurers are waiving medical costs associated with coronavirus. Cigna and Humana are making sure people receiving virus-related treatment don't pay any out-of-pocket costs. Eventual medications and vaccines to fight the virus are also part of the plan. And you're listening to USA Radio News.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
President Trump reacts to Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi telling CNN that people are dying and accusing the president of playing down the growing public health emergency regarding the coronavirus.
That's a horrible thing to say, especially when I was the one. And, I've gotten from fair people, a lot of accolades, and I don't want the accolades.
President Trump, speaking on Fox News, also says,
well, it's a sad thing. Look, she's a sick puppy, in my opinion. She really is. She got a lot of problems.
A notorious rapist and serial killer has been found dead in jail. USA Radio Network's Wendy King has the details.
Lonnie Franklin, the convicted serial killer known as the Grim Sleeper, who terrorized South LA for decades, has died in a California prison while awaiting execution. He was 67. Correction officials say Franklin was found unresponsive in his cell in San Quentin State Prison. An autopsy will determine the cause of death. He had been on death row since August 2016 for the deaths of 9 women and 1 teenage girl. He was linked at trial to 14 murders. For USA Radio News, I'm Wendy King.
Thank you, Wendy. Senator Rob Portman will donate his salary to 5 charitable organizations through May. The Ohio Republican tweeted that there are exceptional organizations who are working tirelessly to provide help and relief to people impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters Media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Stories we've told, going stories we've told, till the end of time. Stories we've told, going stories we've told, till the end of time.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story. You guys just couldn't wait to jump in, right?
Live long and prosper.
You did that so well.
Oh, my goodness. That's all I get out anymore is that, and then we're here, and we're going. So, and G.D. Fenderson, who is one of our political writers, he's one of the independent writers, he stayed with us on the phone through the break. So he's just hanging out there, getting ready to be in quarantine. I guess they have a curfew in Maryland starting at 8 o'clock, it sounds like. So, GD, thanks for joining the party. As I said, I talked to Basil, and the comedian, and he is in North Carolina. He said that they have, I don't know if it's a curfew, but as of 8 o'clock tonight, they're basically shut down. They're having to stay in their home, shelter in place, whatever anybody calls it. We call it stay home Nevada for Nevada here. And
in North Carolina, right, same as Ohio, I thought they called that Sunday night. Right? It's the same as every Sunday night, right? It's the same.
There you go. You're an Ohio guy. You know about that. Yeah. And you've had plenty of concussions. So there you go.
Yep.
So you got it all. Oh, so Ed, you were going to talk a little bit about the impact on careers, because right now, I mean, all we're hearing about is the restaurant owners that are not going to be in business in 30 days. That's what I saw on the news just shortly before I left. You know, and I've said privately, at least, that I was very grateful for the fact that this recession-ish time, that the government is, instead of bailing out the banks, is bailing out the people. And I, for one, am much appreciating that, because I can at least plan my business a little bit better and hope that I can still be there. So I'm a little concerned about the fact that these restaurateurs are saying that they can't, when I'm a small business. I'm really small, like minute. And
well, but we're used to pivoting and moving. It happened 10 years ago.
Yes.
Like I said, wipe me out. But good, look, the government learned.
Right.
And so now they got...
Oh, that's an oxymoron.
It is. It really, really is.
Yeah.
However, they are, right? One of the good things that came out of the 10-year ago bank crisis was that your bank will talk to you. Right? I mean, that...
Yeah, they'll talk to you.
They did
what? No.
Right, but they would before.
Right now.
But now there's some openness. But where I'm going is, quit looking, all of us, quit looking at where we are. Right? You ever try to drive a bike and look where you are? Right? You got to look ahead. You got to look where you're going.
Yeah, watch that dog, right?
Right. Watch that dog. But where I'm saying, what's your plan out? Right here, look, it's a start over, second chance, mulligan. Right? Everyone's like in this big crab in a bucket, right? But everyone's in the same bucket looking at their stuff. Who's coming out first, right? Who's got a plan for when it's over? Are you just getting by in a job because you're wanting to do something else?
Hey, Darwin would be proud of us, right? Because only the strong are going to survive here.
It might be when it's all said and done. We'll see what's left when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But I think people really should be planning the end of the year, right? Or the second half of the year. What are you doing for a job? Are you changing careers?
That's a big leap, because I know the vast majority of businesses are just, they call them mom and pop businesses for a reason, because most mom and pops live month by month.
But they know when they're buying Christmas goods.
Yeah, but these businesses, a lot of the smaller ones, are month to month, and it's very difficult to say, oh, what are you going to do in July?
However, even the mom and pops, because I think we would be considered a mom and pop.
I'm one.
All right.
Yeah.
So even the mom and pops plan. you still plan. You look at what's the future going to be. How long are we doing this? In our case, we want to grow and we want to do some fairly big things. So ours might be slightly different, but even a mom and pop, because my ex and I had a mom and pop and he didn't want to grow, but we still had to plan ahead, and if we were given what we're given right now, which is that the SBA loans that they're putting out there for business are offering to help you with the basics, the leases, the rents. If you're a 1099 employee, they're offering to help you, which that's never been done that I'm aware.
I've never seen
huge.
it done. Yeah. Right.
GD, I imagine you're a 1099 guy, right? If you go and do a gig, you're getting paid on, and you have to file your taxes on that, right? Tell me yes. Say yes.
Yeah. No, I do.
Yeah. Even if it's not so, say
taxes.
yes.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's I do for real. Just in case they're listening, IRS, I do it.
That's right.
But
But the point is that
we gotta
you have
look
an
ahead.
and you have an opportunity. If you have to be reimbursed for something, you're having that opportunity to file for this SBA, and they're giving some immediate money within a few days. And I say that with hesitation because how quickly can the banks do this? And this is through your local bank. This is not through the government. They're supporting that, but the local banks are the ones that are doing it. So by helping everybody like that, makes it a little bit easier to stay home and not do things because, the possibility.
Does this have anything to do with filing with income tax? What I'm getting,
No.
if you haven't filed for 2019 income
No,
tax,
that's the $1,200 that you're thinking
okay, so it's completely
of. That's
independent
different.
of that.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All
It's
right.
independent.
That's separate.
And so all you need to do is get to a bank, get an SBA loan, and I am sure there's paperwork that needs to be filed.
It's a one-pager. I did it today.
Really?
And I want to tell you that I was listening to another show and they were saying, don't be shy about this. Don't be too proud. And I will say I was kind of thinking that, well, I'm okay right now. I can support this. I can do that. And if I get this, they said, don't do that. Get what you need so that you can be up and running. So it frees me up, in my mind at least, to be able to plan ahead, to be able to say, okay, when we get back up, what am I going to be doing? And I'll be honest with you, we haven't stopped. We're still editing. We're still doing things.
Right.
So, if you can, find a different part of your business to do this. And I'm sorry I cut into your whole
It's
segment.
all
but-
good.
So-
I've done it to you so many times.
All
It's-
right, we're going to be right back. This is What's the Story.
Barbecue the Butcher's Kitchen would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Tuesday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855. Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Call in and get real. Barbecue, Reno.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet, and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. In '05, I helped you get out of a ditch. Yeah, I know I'm a bit rusty, and sadly in '09, it was sparks from me, your handy chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Sparks from dragging chains can start a wildfire. Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
The nonprofit Reno Sparks Assistance League Thrift Shop is the main source of funding for 12 philanthropic programs. Staffed and managed by all member volunteers, they are proud of their reputation as one of the best and friendliest thrift shops in the Reno Sparks area. Their members work hard to make sure the merchandise is always of good quality, clean, and priced fairly. Come see for yourself at 1701 Vassar Street in Reno, open 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
Are you ready to sing the blues? Are you willing to listen to this next man? Man got his harmonica in his hand. Good God, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Joe! Bobby Joe!
Welcome back. This is What's the Story, and it is time for Blues and Kids and Bobby Joe Holman. Welcome, Bobby Joe.
Well, thank you. It's always such a pleasure to come out and hang out with you good people.
Well, this is one heck of a strange day, I'll tell you, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I think just everybody, I've been going through some really funk stuff, and everybody that you talk to, and we talked on the phone here the other day, it's just a weird feeling, but we're going to get through it, and it'll be all good.
Yes, sir, it is. So you are out there in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we've been kind of taking the temperature of everyone. I know you and I are going to talk about some music stuff, but let's talk a little bit about what's going on out there.
Well, good. I had my little lady, Janet. She checked into some stuff, and
so you have a producer even, huh? That helps you out.
Yes. Well, I'm very
so coaching. He's a good delegator.
That's right.
I'm a very impotent person, so that's why I got one. But when this all started, by March 14th, we closed the schools, and they were running out of testing kits. Since the March 29th, there has been 719 documented cases, and there's been about 1,400 Utahns that have been tested for it, and we're very fortunate that we've only had 2 deaths so far.
Almost identical to our numbers.
Yeah, they're very close to us.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Jan?
Yeah, you're real close. You're a little lower than us. Now,
Really?
you guys are not locked down, am I right?
Well, it's kind of a voluntary lockdown.
Wait a minute. Did you say knockdown?
No. Did you hear that word, voluntary?
Yeah.
I love when government asks the people to do stuff.
Yeah.
She's like saying our governor's going, no, you do this.
Right. They all of a sudden get dictated.
That's government at its finest.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Because instead of the road, road conditions and stuff, it says, well, our governor says that, you need to be home and not on the road. And so as you're driving, you drive, oh, really? But so things are, real quiet. They have, as of now, Utah has enough ventilators, enough personal protection equipment. but could change with a surge. Now,
Are
so
they
that's,
skiing?
I'm sorry?
Are they skiing?
No, they've shut down everything like that. All the restaurants, most of the restaurants, you can still get drive-throughs, but the restaurants are just ghost towns. The ski resorts, they shut them down, and it's everyone is just kind of treading water, hanging in there. The clubs, if we get into the music thing, I just, as I was waiting to come on and visit with you good folks, I just got another cancellation from one of these concerts that I had booked for my band, Rising Blue. And so now the only one that's left so far, and it's out in it's on August 2nd. It is the Park City's Kimball Arts Festival on August 2nd.
So that might happen.
Yeah, that one might happen. But as of the Arts in the Park, it was ironic. Last night I just finished the stage plot for the Utah Arts Festival, and I opened my email and I said, "Oh, sorry, Bob Joe, but we've canceled the Arts Festival." So, all these contracts.
Well, just by you saying that, what I find interesting is that it seems like not everybody's on the same playing field here as far as the seriousness. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I look back on my notes and we were like, "Oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Why is everybody, getting so crazy?" And then you start to see as things evolve and you start to change your thought process. But it took a while to get everybody there.
Well, I
and
think,
some people still aren't there. I
Well-
was telling these guys there's somebody we know that came back from out of the country and she's wandering around. And I'm like, wow, you think maybe you might want to quarantine for a little bit?
Typhoid Mary.
Exactly. Yeah. You kind of feel that way, right? Like, I like you, but could you
Not
leave
that much,
now?
yeah. Yeah, you're a
Well,
friend, but not that close.
people in general are so, unfortunately, they're so very selfish, and it's all about them.
Well, but I don't even think that's that. I think that she's where we were 2-3 weeks ago. She's been out of the country. She hasn't been in touch. She was, vacationing in an area that didn't have a lot of the information. And she's just like, what's the big deal?
Well, yeah, you just turn off the radio or whatever, the TV.
Yeah.
And say, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Well, right. If I don't see it, it's not happening.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So then, I didn't get the memo.
I live, yeah. That's the
right.
area where I live.
He just shut it all down. Huh?
That's right. And do you wonder why I always have a smile on my face?
I think I know now.
There was an old expression they used to use. It's called the village idiot.
Yeah.
No, Doug.
But
that's
it's
not
comfortable.
you. No. So, Bobby Joe,
I'm
so you
sorry.
got that one that got canceled. So what's going on otherwise?
Well, it's the Blues Festival is canceled. The Utah Arts Festival is canceled. The Arts in the Park is canceled, and there was a couple gigs there, and the clubs, even the clubs have been shut down, and so it's just people just kind of hanging around, hanging out, and watching a lot of TV and stuff.
There's another big bite out of your economy is that literally the Mormon Church shut down. They canceled all of their meetings.
Yes, right. Well, that's it because of the government here, and they just said so everything is just shut down. That's it. They won't let you congregate on anything, and so
all summer long, people are going to have these schedules of concerts that have been canceled, and the disease is going to be gone, and so you're going to have to be on call 24/7 for these gigs because there's going to be stuff happening this summer.
Yeah, opening up, and so you got to be ready for it.
I just happen to have a vacancy here.
That's right.
Yeah, GD, that's you too. You got to be ready for those gigs to open up on that East Coast once things settle down there.
Yep.
You bet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still rehearse at home.
Oh yeah, you got to stay on your game. That's for sure. Because
Yes.
you get the call, You got to be able to go, okay, I'm ready, let's go.
Absolutely. So the Blues Foundation is going to create virtual events to replace the axed Blues Music Awards and Blues Hall of Fame inductions. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're asking that if you've purchased tickets to go to the Blues Foundation event, convert those purchases to donations to a new emergency relief fund. So I guess if you're well off enough to go to it, then maybe you're well off enough to contribute to the emergency fund, right? Because obviously they don't want to have to refund, right?
Well, that's it. That's really it, because there's there has been so much cost outlay already, and these to get these acts, they'd had to put some upfront money,
right?
And kind of thing, and then say, well, I'm sorry you can't come. Well, guess what? You lose that money.
Yeah.
And so.
So that's their answer. So I think that what we see is the best and the worst of all of us, right? You see the best of those that can kind of reinvent and kind of change things up, and then you see the worst of some of the companies that are asking for donations that are private. That I don't think is very appropriate.
Right. Yeah, totally.
No names.
Yeah, right. But we all know who it is. Yeah, it is, and it's something. I was watching the president here, and believe me, even out of all the low about what's happening and the people dying and stuff like this, I just can see the greatness that it's doing. It's uniting the country, and the companies. These major companies are coming up and and standing up to help, and to me, when we get over this hump, it's then we got the old any kind of disease or pandemic like this, a pandemic, whatever they call it, that we've got our chops together, man. We got it all handled.
Yeah. Yep. That's great. Well, Bobby Joe, we got about 30 seconds and we're going to have to cut out. That just went really fast. But what can I say? All these segments are today. So thanks for being with us. You hang in there in Utah and hold down the fort for us there.
You betcha. And we'll talk to you next week. Okay.
Right. Sounds
Be good,
great.
sir.
Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
So here's the choice. Some people say the USA is finished. It's evil, a has-been.
full of hate and injustice. The U.S. Constitution should be trashed and the Bill of Rights abolished. No free speech, no gun ownership. Competition and free markets are bad. We're all too stupid. For our own good, the government must own everything and know all your secrets.
Other people say that America has created the freest, richest, happiest, most generous society that has ever existed in the world. That's why millions of people are desperate to come here and escape their brutal lives in Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, and 100 other countries.
In America, we have the right to succeed, the right to our own living, the right to have a family, the right to believe in God, the right to have our own ideas, the right to be safe and secure, and the right to be left alone.
Where do you stand? Help us save the Constitution and restore the American dream. Go to SaveMyFreedom.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
The story of my life, I give her love, I spend her love until she's broken inside. The story of my life, the story.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
It's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up with your host, Jason Hadley. Looking to help children in areas that are under orders to shelter in place, author Neil Gaiman gave Reading Rainbow host LeVar Burton the full rights to read his stories online. Most of the adults wanting LeVar Burton to read the Star Trek books were sheltered in place long before the coronavirus pandemic. Fearing he may contract COVID-19 behind bars, R. Kelly is begging a judge to release him from jail as he awaits trial on underage sex crimes. Because, of course, as we all know, R. Kelly wants nothing to do with anything 19. Comedian Joe Rogan put celebrities on blast who took time while in isolation to sing John Lennon's Imagine, while elderly and poor people are dying due to nationwide shortages of proper medical equipment. Clearly, none of them can imagine helping the bartenders, concession stand workers, and other hourly wage workers that made them famous. And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. Follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
Welcome back. It is time for Brian T. Shirley in the BTS Entertainment Corner on What's the Story. Welcome, Brian.
How's everybody doing out there in Nevada?
We're doing okay. We're used to being locked up.
Good.
Yeah, that's right.
How about you?
Well,
in South Carolina.
I'm doing all right. It's, hey, what can you do? I did get to do a couple of auditions last week, and I got another one I'm working on. So things keep going somewhat in the entertainment business. It's just you're not making any money right now. You're kind of where, I'm in a standstill, basically. But, you still try to do stuff like auditions, or maybe I'll watch or read some stuff on acting or whatever, and try to, just keep the creative juices flowing and keep learning, whatever I need to learn. But that's where I'm at right now. And Will watched something that Will Roberts was talking about, who, by the way, just did his travel show came out, Cowboys and Dragons. It's on the Travel Channel. And Robert Englund from Nightmare on Elm Street, he hosts the show. And I guess it's little vignettes of science fiction and fantasy. So our buddy Will, who was featured twice in What's the Story, has got that out. So if you got the Travel Channel, it came out on the 25th. So I haven't seen the Travel Channel. I haven't seen it yet. So I'm sure you can video on demand or whatever, see a past episode. So check Will Roberts out. It's called Cowboys and Dragons, believe it or not. It looks pretty cool.
That's interesting.
There's one for Ed, definitely.
So I had a visual of the dude riding the dragon, right? The cowboy riding the dragon. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
No, I guess I should have been more, because I haven't seen it. The picture is Will and one of his companion or whatever, another cowboy, and that you see them on horses, and it's a flying dragon that it looks like he's shooting at the dragon. So that's what it is. Sorry, I guess.
Nice. No, it's all good.
So that gives you
sounds fascinating.
That gives you a better picture of it. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they're not riding the dragons; they're fighting.
Oh, well, there you go. Good call there.
Well, you know, simple
Yeah, no,
mind.
but-
A simple mind works for some stuff.
Yeah,
No,
most stuff.
I was sent a movie from the Horror Collective. Now I'm getting, I just do a lot of horror films, and these are coming from the Entertainment Squad, Horror Collective, which usually they end up on Dread Central. Now Dread Central is a channel on Roku. You can just add it to your TV if you got a smart TV, and so
I have a
some of the
dumb
movies
TV.
that I've talked about on you. What's that?
I have a dumb TV.
You have a dumb TV. All right.
Sorry,
So
you
I
bring
guess
that
you're
out in
open
me.
for it.
Well, I keep
can't help
waiting
it.
for all these movies to come out on some kind of Svengoolie collage.
Oh yeah, you can see them right now. Most of the ones I talk about, like Dread Central, you can see them on there. The Wave, or I don't know if the Wave is on there, but Lasso's on there, and we interviewed the director for Lasso. But the reason I brought it up, it's called Dread Central, and you can add it to your TV. I don't know, you can't do it to a dumb TV, but you add it to your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. Those are the three big ones right now. So there's a documentary I'm in that I've talked about called Scared, and it's Scared the documentary. And Maria Olsen, who I've discussed on this show, is in it also, and it's a documentary where we talk about what scares us, the actors and the movie makers in horror. You know, this guy put together all of us talking about this, and it was featured on Dread Central's site, the trailer teaser for it. So I don't know, maybe eventually it'll be on there. If it is, that would be big. But that's happened this past week.
So
the
is
big
it,
thing
I
that-
need to ask
so-
a question, and I know I always interrupt you, but so is that up to the producer to try and get the Sonys of the world to look at that? Is that how that happens?
Usually what'll happen is, I guess he's been putting the trailer and the teaser out. There's a teaser and a trailer for it, and he's trying to get eyes on it. And then from there, he can either get it on the channel, like we're on E360 TV with some stuff. And you remember that
Right.
from being
Yep.
with NSAN.
Right.
So there's one way. So you're familiar with that process a little bit. So there you're talking to the person that owns the platform.
Okay.
So
okay. So there's
change
lots
the,
of different
entertainment
ways.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good
But
though,
that's
because
the one
otherwise
change
that's
that
real limiting.
We've been involved with.
Yeah.
Right. I do want to talk about The Parish. They actually sent this to me. The Parish is directed by Paddy Murphy. This is an Irish film. It was made in Ireland, totally Irish with the actors. I got to tell you, it is a slow-building psychological horror. It's very well acted, and it's really timely for several reasons. I'll tell you the log line and tell you why it's timely. While recovering from an abortion, a young woman is tormented by the spirits of the unborn who seek a mother. Obviously, that's just a big subject anywhere, but really in Ireland right now. And I just watched the presidential address, and there's a couple of states here in the United States that I think one of them is Texas that has, I don't know if it's suspended elective abortions, but
I heard
something
that
to do
too.
with,
Yeah, I heard that too, that they've suspended it because they're trying to keep the hospitals free of anything elective.
Right.
So
and I,
it sounds
you know,
harsh.
I just saw
but-
that. I just saw that, and I thought, wow, this is weird. This happens all the time on this show. Something happens right before I come on that has exactly to do with what I'm talking about.
But you
So
know,
that
there's a
was
big
kinda
question
scary when I
there. Is
saw
that really elective? You only have a certain period of time to do that.
There's a small-
It's not like you've got a huge window, right?
Well, it's
You
like
know?
locking a home loan. It's a
Yeah.
week or two.
Yeah, you're not talking about truly elective if you
Right.
believe in that, and that's kind of scary. Kind of scary.
Yeah, and I think if you watch this film, it will bring. I mean, especially if you watch it with family, then you're not on the same sides. This could be a big discussion builder because it comes out April 7th, by the way. and I guess this was probably going to be obviously video on demand, so Amazon, and I'll try to forward this to you, but I got to tell you, it hits this subject from just about every angle you can think of, and then it adds in the horror element to it at the
That's
same
crazy.
time. And
The horror element.
The horror element is the Loch Ness Monster, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
No, you're thinking of Scotland.
Yeah,
I'm Irish.
I was on the wrong lens. You were right. You're right.
Brian, we're cutting Ed some slack today. We figured out he's had multiple concussions in the past. So that's where that came from.
I don't know. He might need to go get tested.
But on a serious note, right? You when you talk about money-making activities, you talk about your performance as a comedian, right, in audiences?
I'm sorry?
Pregnant pause. Pregnant pause.
When I talk about money-making activities,
You're talking about...
I actually do a whole thing about making money, but I mean, I don't know if it's...
Well, where I was going is, are you practicing routines now? Are you looking at doing shows after, or are you focusing more on your movie actor type stuff?
I got you. I'm having to focus on the acting, to be honest, Ed, because I mean, with the comedy, you know, if I write, I'll write. That's about all you can do. You know, you can't, unless I want to, you know, do a little show here in my living room for my light and my camera, you know, which, you know, you could do and then watch it, but just to see how you're, you know,
I'm just using you as a total coaching example because you're showing us the great way to pivot, right? You're showing your big money way and you're branching out and doing something different. You're learning, moving, stepping forward. Everybody needs to be doing it.
Yeah.
Voiceover. That's one thing I'm working on now. And I talked to Janice about that this week, as a matter of fact. But and I was working on it before. So there's another pivot right there.
Oh, it's a big one.
And I'm talking about
Brian, can I ask you a
all
question?
the audition.
GD is on the line with us, Brian. He wants to ask you a quick question. We only have 35 seconds. Go.
Oh, crap. GD Fenderson, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. Brian, you was talking about the things that scare you, that little things that frighten you, as far as movie things go. Is there something that, let's say, that ordinarily would not scare you, but because they added the right music or right soundtrack, it just makes you jump out of your skin?
And we're going to hold that for the next time because we only have 10 seconds left. All right, Brian, we'll see you next time. GD, sorry about that.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainima Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainimaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich? No. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The nonprofit Reno Sparks Assistance League Thrift Shop offers quality merchandise, including a selection of women's and children's apparel and shoes, books for every age, baby clothes, accessories, sporting goods, toys, housewares, linens, home decor, and seasonal items and jewelry, all at affordable prices. Come in to shop, donate, or join this all-volunteer organization. Assistance League Thrift Shop, open Monday through Saturday 10 to 4 at 1701 Vassar Street in Reno.
This overload. Shannon Lawson here. Join us for the Nevada Radio Roundup, Fridays at 2 p.m. A good news variety show all about the local scene. The Nevada Roundup, Friday at 2.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. Timing is everything, right?
Perfect.
Oh my goodness. So I was just listening to the music. If you're listening on the radio, you'll hear the music. I don't think you hear it on Facebook, but it's all my. Oh, they do. Okay. So I've got all my sisters with me. Well, I don't have my sisters at work anymore. And I got all the boys here, so I think I have to find some new music. That's all I can say, right? Oh, we got Kelly. All right, you're right. I do have Kelly, but other than that, I got GD on the phone. I got Brian still with us on Zoom, on Facebook.
And what's his name?
Doug over here.
And the Velvet Fog.
Velvet Fog.
We got total mayhem.
Yeah, we do. But
total mayhem.
I wanted, Brian stayed on with us because we really are trying to kind of let people know, from people that are actually living where they are in these different states, kind of know what's going on out there. Because I think that it gives more of a sense of calm if we all kind of figure out, look, this is not the end of the world. This is just a period of time, and we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. And so, Brian, what's going on in South Carolina as far as, are you guys shut down? Are you on curfews? What's happening there?
We're in Charleston. We're in a stay-in-place order, and I think it's statewide. But the big thing is that the governor, this is statewide, is that if you're coming from a hot spot, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, New Orleans, and you're coming to South Carolina, you're going to be put in a 14-day quarantine when you get here immediately.
And how do you feel about that?
I think it's good. But the other thing is if you break that quarantine, it's a $100 fine or 30 days in jail.
Oh, my.
I'll tell you why I think it's good.
Wait a minute. Yeah. A 15-day quarantine or 30 days in jail.
I think the 15 days is better than the 30, right? Isn't that the
So back in the day, it's way better than stoning them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't 100 years ago. They would have killed them.
That's government thinking at its finest.
Right? I mean, anyway.
Well, the reason I agree with it is because of the way this virus works. You don't know anywhere from 3 to 12 days or whatever it is if you got it. So, you drive down
Brian,
and
be
feel
honest,
okay, and
because
2 days later,
Go ahead,
but,
GD.
to answer GD's question,
Not just Brian, be honest. You just think it's because if it's a comedian coming in town, they should being quarantined, and if it's an audience, they should be able to walk freely to any show.
Hey, comedians are automatically in quarantine when they get to a town. We all know. So
Is this the BTS Entertainment Corner? What are we doing here?
DD asks about the music. What would music do to something that doesn't normally make me scary? Would it make it be scared? My answer to that, or what would it? That doesn't normally scare me? And my answer is everything, anything. Because if you make it with the right camera angle and the right music, you can make brushing your teeth scary, or you can make, a roach crawling across a piece of paper. I mean, you can make anything scary with the right mood enhancers, and that is camera angle and music.
And I would agree with that.
Don't you think you can do the exact opposite too? You can make it wonderful, right? I mean, we're in this space, right? Man, we can flip that around and be all bright and cheery.
Right.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for answering that. That's good. And I do want to.
It's all an intent.
It is. I do want to get to our report from Doug, because he has a son in Orange County that is he still part of the fire service?
Oh, he is. Yes, very much so.
All right. So he's from Orange County, California, and you got some personal info from him.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the other side of what we're talking about. And what I mean by that is that, we hear all the statistics and we hear all the rules and everything comes down. But for the last, I'll say 2 weeks, in Orange County Fire Department, they set up the incident command system. And one of the things that they have is a branch. It's called contingencies, what if area. And you talk about chasing your tail, and that's exactly what it ended up doing, because there's certain things like that I don't want to say normal people, the public at large doesn't think about. You expect when you dial 911 for somebody, go figure, to show up. Well, you expect them to show up virus-free, right?
Sure.
Well, how do they know their people are virus-free? They're not testing because they don't have the testing kits. Well, the particular group, this contingency group that was in, there was a lot of staffing there. 4 people in the group came down with the virus. Well, now the people that are exposed to those people...
Do they get quarantined?
Exactly. And now they say, all right, we're going to assume that you have it, especially the people that do have it. Go home. Well, wait a minute. I don't want to go home. What, you want me to...
So just end it all, put everybody in a daggone spacesuit and forget about it, man.
Really,
that's where it's going, man.
I'll tell you what, that's exactly where it's headed. So part of the contingency plans, and this is one of the things that I like about, especially about a big department and big government decisions, what they did is they went and they took 14 of their rescue squads, which are basically vans that can transport, that were in mothballs, and they said, let's outfit them. Because if everything goes south and we don't have enough staffing, at least we can press these into service. And now what they're doing, and one of the questions that I have is that, Janice, you're a perfect example of this. When you call the fire department and somebody shows up, you don't want them to be carrying the virus, bringing it into your home.
No.
So what their policies are now is what they try to do is they bring you outside. And they only have one guy, one paramedic, that's suited up. And then if they can get him out of their environment, bring him out into the fresh air, they can evaluate them. And then if there is a special need, then they can have a second man or a second paramedic suit up, and then they can go from there on what they want to do.
Well, it sounds like they came up with a good strategy.
They have, but what it's all predicated on is the testing kits. Because if you can't test your people and know where this is headed, one of the things that you don't want to go out is on a heart patient.
Well, I don't
give
know
them a virus.
Right,
but there's a 5-minute test out
right
now.
there. I was just going to say they just announced this right before our show that there is a 5-minute test, 5 to 15. 5 to 15.
But the thing is, Doug, here's the thing: they should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
Should have seen it coming, and then quarantined those folks right before for 2 weeks, then they would have known, but they didn't see it coming.
No. See,
they didn't see
when
it coming.
when you're in the political environment, and especially with the contingency plan is kind of a nickname is, whoa, not in my backyard. Everybody wants to have their bases covered. So no matter who you go to, they're going to have a different opinion of this and an avenue why it's not my fault. So everybody is covered that way. So when things go, and this is the political environment.
But I know. But I guess what I would say is I don't care.
I don't either.
Yeah, well, you know what? The public doesn't, do they? Well, what they dial 911 and they want someone to come.
Can I say one very positive thing? Because this is in relation to about supplies and not having enough of things. And Brian, this relates to your state. There is a doctor by the name of Peter Tiltmeyer, and he has created a ventilator that takes care of 2 people. And they're working on getting the FDA to, but right now...
No, I was just going to say, it's one guy breathing into the other guy.
Well, the fact is they have you know what, they keep...
Oh, you 2 comedians can have a field day with that.
They keep threatening to run out of stuff, but they still got it.
Yeah.
They still somehow have stuff. It's a miracle.
Right, it is. But I think that what things like this do to us is it forces innovation. It forces us
pressure point.
Yeah, it forces us to think outside the box. Go ahead.
They just announced a machine that's going to clean the masks.
Yes, I heard about that.
So you can reuse.
Yeah.
Well, just
20 times.
Yeah, have them stick that on the people's face then.
Better than that mouth-to-mouth resuscitation thing.
Oh my goodness! All right,
you know what?
guys.
I need to kind of, Janice, you really just got the tip of the iceberg here. Yes, people are thinking past what the normal public, the people in the power that have the power to make these decisions, are ready for it, and hopefully will direct all of the emergency services in the right direction.
Yes, let's hope, right?
Yeah.
All we can do is pray. Or whatever you do.
Well, right, that individual's got a clue or they don't.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I really appreciate GD. Thanks for hanging with us all this time. Brian, thanks for staying past your segment. And Doug and... What's your name there, Ed?
Velvet Fog.
Velvet Fog.
I am.
Christian, who's always there for us and takes good care of us and makes sure we do the right thing.
Christian.
Yeah, keeps us on time.
That's right. He tries. And to everybody out there, just stay safe wherever you are. We'll try and deliver whatever we can in the way of entertainment and keeping everybody as happy as we can and informed.
Be positive.
And we know
think
a few
big.
people around the country now, so if you're one of them, give me a call, tell me what's going on there, and we'll share it. So that's what we're all about. All right, so we are What's the Story, and we'll be back next week.
With a little bit of luck,
well,
huh?
Yeah. Stay with us.
Be good, Dad.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support